DL is back again. All right, so we all know what's going on in Kenya, right? Mm-hmm. 7 days of rage. You know what rage means? So this is what the protesters, the theme for their protest. 7 days of rage. So for somebody to be that
angry,
even with this theme, it looks like there's a big issue going on there. So this is what we're going to talk about on DLS Wave. All right, YouTube fam. So yeah, we know what's been going on in Kenya for a few days now, and for us, what's really abhorrent is it's like police started using live rounds. We did not even want to get into it because we don't like talking about politics if we do not have enough, fundamental or basic idea of what's going on. But we just saw snippets of what's going on in Kenya. It's been like I think there's like 5 people dead. Police started using tear gas. And now it's come to a point where they're using live round bullets on their citizens. So this is what's amalgamating to us bringing it on board and talking about it. Because what would make the police, who are being paid by taxpayers' money, and the citizens are the taxpayers, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're using live rounds on these guys, and these guys are the people you're supposed to protect. So does that make sense? Because protesting is part of the democratic process. Yeah. They have the right to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your take?
I think
live rounds.
Yeah,
we're not talking about rubber bullets.
When the order comes from above, you've pledged to serve, so you have to carry it out. So I won't blame the police too much. I think the order is probably coming from somewhere, but don't take my word on that. Mm-hmm. The police can't do anything like that without any order. But for me, I think that it's in their right to protest for anything, especially when it comes to taxes. Now we know that every country is going through some difficulty, especially after COVID and all that. And maybe they are right to demonstrate, because when you hear about the taxes that are going to be, or that the government
that have been
wanted
passed
to,
on.
Has it been passed?
Yeah, they voted for it in Parliament.
So when you hear the taxes that are being imposed on the people of Kenya, I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like, you have taxes on sanitary pads and some medical conditions. You can bring taxes, but there are certain areas that you don't need to tax, because people who fall in that category are already vulnerable. And in most cases, they don't even have the money to pay. But if you're taxing everyone, including the very people who are accessing those benefits, then I think it's ridiculous. And I just think it's just gotten to a point where people are just getting tired of their governments all over the world. It's not just Kenya. So this might be just an isolated case in Kenya, but a lot of countries are feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, this came from the president. He said it is not in order or even conceivable that criminals pretending to be peaceful protesters, criminals,
we've always
pretending
to
be peaceful protesters, can rain terror against the people, the elected representatives, and the institutions established under our constitution, and expect to go scot-free. So, literally saying people protesting are criminals, pretending to be what? Protesters. So, it comes back to the same talking point. So every time you protest, it looks like you're crying victim. You're trying to play a victim of some kind of horrendous, government propaganda. But the thing is, it's literally true. There was a 16% tax imposed on I think if you can oil and bread and stuff. How do you put tax on bread?
Yeah. So
yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah. So basically, protest is not supposed to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable.
Idea. Exactly.
Right. Because the masses or the youth in particular feel their voice is not heard.
Right.
So they feel their leaders, those who are representing them, are not channeling or are not pushing the agenda in Parliament.
Yeah.
So because they think their voice are not being heard, they decide to go on the streets themselves to make those in authority know that what they are doing is making them uncomfortable.
Right.
They are already everything is high. I'm reading that the cost of living is very high. It's already unbearable.
Right.
And then now you want to make it much tougher.
Yeah.
So they are telling the those in power or the leaders that don't wait. We are not going to wait till the next election cycle to let our voice be heard at the polling station.
Yeah.
We are going to go onto the streets and let you guys know that what you guys are doing is very, very uncomfortable to us.
Right.
It's not going to help us. It's not going to make us better because I know the president came to power with promises of increasing the standard of living, making the standard of living better, creating more jobs, which he has not done. So why do you go ahead to increase taxes? Well, if you are going to increase taxes and you can show that this extra income you are going to get will go into improving infrastructure, will go into this and this and that, it will be better. But none of that has been shown. They've not shown over the years that getting more tax revenue from the citizens can get a lot done. So people are just fed up. They are just saying that, hey, we are coming to the streets, we are making you uncomfortable. But the part of burning and then looting is always the negative part that comes with the protesting, because those are the bad folks. But then the main message is that we are uncomfortable. What you are asking us to do.
I think that is even understand. I think they are suffering. I think it's more suffering than uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because from what we've seen, it also looks like it's mostly the youth, the young folk that are coming out to the streets to protest. And I think I read somewhere they actually get all these things organized or mobilized through social media. Right? So I think there are some positives to social media, but the way the government is handling it. I mean, the president came out calling it treasonous. I said they're not being patriotic, but people were shot. So I was actually thinking we'll come up, make a statement about people being shot, but actually it's actually talking about them being criminals.
I never heard that. So you didn't show any remorse?
No, that's what he just said. That's what I read. But the thing is,
there's a saying in life here. A thief knows who a thief is. So a criminal knows who a criminal is. So if he has the audacity to call the kids, this generation, thieves for fighting, right? Or not, I don't say fighting, but challenging you, telling you that, look, with all that we have, we believe you can do better. Because when we look at other countries that don't have what we have, they are way better than us, and you call them criminals, then you are the chief.
Right.
Yeah. And then you came to power to protect all Kenyan citizens.
And that was just about what?
So whether they are criminals or not.
It's just actually made a very good point. Let me just read a little bit of how he started this campaign, right? We know him, right? Ruto. So when he came, he called himself a hustler. Why'd you do that? Because he wanted to appeal to the masses, the youth and everything. Look, we're in the same boat, right? I feel you. I'm a hustler too. And he vowed relief from economic pain. This is what he vowed to do. Now, what did they do? They came. I think there's a youth, activist, whatever. And they were they actually warned the government about that very taxes they were about to pass. But classic case in Africa, what did they do? They passed it anyway. So now it's gotten to the president's table. He has to sign off on it.
It has gotten to a point in Africa where, I'm generalizing here, most of our leaders don't care about the people they are governing. And I always say that is dangerous. I had an interview. There was one young girl, and her interview really stuck with me. She said, listen, I'm here today because of my children. The children I don't even know. I don't have children yet. I'm not married yet. But it is the children, my unborn children.
Right.
So if I don't fight, which my parents didn't, they in a way, she was trying to say, they failed us. My mom cannot come and work here because they've given up already. But for us, we are not going to give up.
Right. We are not taking this.
We are not taking it.
I always disagree with that assertion. It's I always do not like this thing about, we're doing it for future generations. Can we do it for this very generation?
No,
we want it now.
So the reason but the reason why I kind of support and I agree with is
where you're coming
when you look at your now, there is no now.
My point is that we got to demand stuff now.
But there is no now, because what is going on, right? It's been a couple of days. If that the president and his cronies, they listen, he shouldn't have read this thing.
Let me read this for you from the Associated Press. Associated Press, AP. So they said a youth-led movement had warned the government of President William Ruto against passing a finance bill they said would add to Kenyans' economic troubles. Lawmakers passed it anyway, Ruto is expected to sign it, even as religious leaders called it unwarranted. Even religious leaders are stepping in. Right. And still they passed it. So that's what I'm talking about now. So you don't think this youth, what is happening is for them demanding justice now?
No, they are demanding justice now. But what I'm trying to tell, the economy is already in tatters. That is one thing we have to agree. And that is why that is where she was trying to come from. Currently, we are in a mess. You understand? But we are not going to allow you to add this mess. That would take another 20 years to be fixed.
You know what I think? I think that some of these governments, they're not doing it on their own will. You know, Kenya is a classic example. I think this China Belt and Road Initiative thing, and if you've been following Kenyan news, they got a loan from China, and they built this massive rail line from Nairobi to Mombasa, and a few other rail lines. And I hear it cost billions of dollars. So for me, I think that the government went ahead to pass it because I'm feeling they had no option. I feel like they've reached a point where they need to pay back these monies, because if you look at some of the taxes, the taxes they're putting out there, it doesn't make sense.
Let me get back on it.
So I feel like they are forced to pay back these monies.
It's on bank transfers, right? It's on diapers for kids. It's for fuel. It's for internet data.
Wow.
So almost everything.
So that tells me that they have no option. They must make the money.
But then can't you get it somewhere else?
Yeah, let me just read that part. I said the government says the changes are necessary to pay interest on national debt.
What about lowering the salaries?
So you see that's exactly. So I feel like they have no option. They have reached a point where they have to pay back some money.
But that's the problem.
And now
the ordinary person suffers.
Exactly.
So what about lowering all their sitting allowance, lowering some of the vacations they take from the
wages and stuff?
And if you look at Safari, right, Kenya makes billions from that. Where does all that money go?
They got some resources. They got gold. They got stuff like that.
Exactly. They have so much.
They got a lot too.
And you know, recently I saw Wadamaya's wife. She made a video supporting the protesters, and she also mentioned that Kenya at the beginning of this year opened up their borders to every citizen of the world to come visa free. But it's a catch. When you get into Kenya, you have to pay, I think, $36 or something like that to enter the country. So they've done away with visa requirements, but when you get to the airport, you actually have to pay money. So it looks like that whole thing wasn't a goodwill thing to invite the world to visit Kenya. It was actually maybe part of a plan, exactly.
To probably with $36. Because even $36,
even Wadamaya, his wife said whenever Wadamaya came to visit her, he didn't have to, because we have visa free to Kenya. He just walked through. But now he has to pay that $36.
Yeah, but was it explained why you pay maybe for the processing fees? Or
there's nothing you have to process, so it's just a fee.
I don't really know. Maybe there is something to it.
Because for people who are visa free, they didn't have to pay anything, but now everybody.
So they change it visa free, but you have to pay entrance fee.
And people don't know that. People get to the airport and they tell them you have to pay, and they're surprised. Then why didn't you let me get a visa?
So for example, right, sometimes in corporate America, right, when the situation becomes dire, right, and then they don't want to lay off, what ends up happening is that people get a pay cut.
Yeah, sure.
So a lot of the pay cut normally affects a lot of people at the top. And then it might reach those downfields, and then maybe you downfield might get a 2% or 3% pay cut, but people get it at the top, get more of it, get more pay cut, especially with their bonuses and stuff. So why can't they adopt something similar that, hey, our people are suffering, we are here to serve them, so why not take a pay cut for maybe 1 year or for 2 years or for 3 years?
Are you referring to?
I'm saying adopt something
to work in Africa.
Because I feel like they are already enriched. They've already enriched themselves.
Exactly.
So greed is what is causing this things to go, because you have to find that if you need money and you can, just like our household, right? Diapers, food, and stuff like those are necessities. If you want to pay other stuff, right, we shuffle things around to get money anyway. So it depends on your priorities. So I think the Kenyan government have to drop this tax bill and then look somewhere else they can find money. If they can't find money anywhere, the leaders to just sacrifice.
This was going to be my last question before we wrap up. Why is it every time it's like the country got to pay something off? It's like it has to be through taxes.
Yeah, we know
Because that's the way, that's the revenue. That's the only way we revenue. That's the only way we
taxes
revenue.
always got to get.
And then the sad thing is that a previous administration can take a loan.
Yeah.
That has to be paid in 5 years or in 10 years.
Yeah.
So they know sometimes they're not going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be their future's
Just-
problem. And then the loan they took, you can't say that this loan was used to do this work.
Exactly.
work. Yeah.
Sometimes the loan is taken.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you're smart, you're an intelligent guy. Right? I'm a little slow, so let me just try to understand this. What country has ever developed by just taxing their people every single year? I mean, how can you develop on taxes?
That's exactly how he explained it. It gets to a point, something needs to give.
Yes.
But you,
But
the
for us, it's not
leader.
a point. It's always the people that got to give. The government never
Exactly.
gives.
So they are just there to make sure we pay for their lifestyle.
Their luxury.
And okay, yes, the country is ours, but we have a better say than you because we have the power.
Right.
We say pay this for us to be able to live. They keep living they're driving their cars, and all that,
Taking vacations.
taking all the vacations for their entire family, friends, and whatever. But you, the common floor member, you don't have a say. You don't need to go to the street and tell them, hey, come on.
And
I've
the sad
given
thing
a
is
lot
that we
already.
keep putting them in power.
Yes.
And then to add to what you said about them not, you can't see any concrete thing they use the money for. I've always insisted that we don't, in Africa, we don't invest money. We always want quick returns. So rather than borrowing money, constructing a rail line and generating money forever to maybe offset some of the debt,
Yeah.
what we do is we borrow the money and build some school.
Yeah.
But we know schools don't generate money. We borrow the money to build a hospital, which is a good thing, but it doesn't generate any profit.
Because
So
of how we run our hospitals.
Exactly, but-
and then you can't pay back the loan, then you borrow more to pay back, and if you can't pay, you go and tax the people to pay.
And then I don't know about Kenya, but I know in Ghana, right, the budget, right, the yearly budget, right,
Yeah.
they always borrow to meet the budget
But yeah,
needs.
exactly.
So, but look at us, right, our household, right, if you spend X amount of money or you all earn X amount of money, you make sure the X amount of money is enough.
Yeah.
If you have to downgrade your lifestyle, if you have to let go of some things, you
but that
But even if you borrow as common
But you can't
people,
borrow every
you
year.
Exactly.
you know your salary, so you don't actually borrow way beyond
Yeah,
your,
but this
your
I like what
actual-
Cheddar said the same thing. This is just basic business 101.
Yes,
Yes.
You can't
It
be
just-
borrowing to balance your
Exactly,
shit.
yeah.
And every year
you
are
go and borrow
Yeah.
24
Every
million,
year-
you know your salary.
And you're not invested in borrowed money
And
into
every
anything.
year you are borrowing.
That brings returns.
Exactly.
So if you have X dollars, spend your X dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Or borrow
No, if, like
borrow
you said,
that
if
your
you- if
X
you
dollars can
borrow
help you to
money,
pay within that said
To
year.
invest, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay, like a train.
Come
You know
on.
the train is going to be running from here to here, right? One
It
year gonna
generates something,
this
generate
money.
some money.
Okay, 10
Forever.
years, I'm going to spend this much in
Yeah.
maintenance, but you do your deductions. Okay, so I'm going to get this amount of profit at the end of 20 years, right? Which will offset me paying the loans back.
Yeah.
But not, you have to do all those dynamics, but it's just not, I'm going to borrow, like I said, pay nurses. I'm going to borrow, build a school, which doesn't generate anything.
I'll give you one example. So Shanghai Rail Line, I think Shanghai has subway, has I think the largest subway line now in the world. I think they have about 27 lines.
Yeah.
And they said every day they get about 1 million yuan. This was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. 1 million yuan generated as profit from the subway alone.
Wow,
So you
impressive.
can see, so China's development, they actually borrow from the bigger banks, but they invest in it so they can keep paying back,
The
even if it's
high-speed,
forever.
I think the
they can
CHR
always
or
pay.
CRH, I think,
There's
after
high-speed
10
trains.
years, they broke even after 10 years.
Wow, see.
That's what we're talking about.
So
We
that's
don't
an
invest.
But then your budget, right? Your budget that you used to run your
Yeah,
home
but exactly
every
what you
month.
said.
You can't be borrowing to meet your monthly budget.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
It's
saying.
not-
That
that's
it's not like
yeah,
borrowing
it's just
in
common
itself
sense.
is bad. Borrowing is not a bad thing.
No.
But it's
I'm
how you
saying-
utilize
Yes.
the money, the funds that
Yeah.
come in.
But even as I agree with you, right, you can borrow, but for projects. But
Yeah.
your monthly budget,
Budget. Yeah.
your yearly budget,
Budget.
every year,
Yeah.
you have to
Doesn't make
borrow
sense.
to make it meet.
It doesn't make sense.
ends
It
meet.
makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
All right, so one word.
Yeah.
So the unrest in Kenya, justified or unjustified?
Justified.
Justified?
Yes. No. Sorry. Let me say it again. Protest is justified. Their voices should be heard.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I like that. So
Process.
justified or unjustified?
The protest or
Yeah.
the unrest.
I think it goes hand in hand because I
It
think
starts,
usually
it is actually the unrest came from the police, the way the police are handling.
Yeah, so
Last time I saw a video, they were chanting, "We are peaceful."
We are, and they were still throwing tear gases at them, you know. So, and now even the guys they've started smoking the tear gas.
Oh really?
Yeah, there are videos. Some guys
Do they get like high on that?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's super
Yeah,
weird.
so the protests justified. Their voices have been heard. So they've gotten their word to the president. So it has been successful. And in my case, they should drop the bill.
Yeah.
So justified or unjustified?
Justified.
Justified minus violence. Any protest minus violence for me is justified. I mean, if it erupts to the point where even innocent people suffer, shops are looted and stuff, that's not cool. And to the extent that the police brutalize, that's also not cool. But the protest itself is justified.
Yeah, but isn't there a thing like civil disobedience?
It can be done in a peaceful way too.
Civil disobedience.
Yeah, but it gets to a point when you're like a pressure cooker, right?
But then again, when it turns violent, it's the same people who suffer. The top people are still sitting in their mansions.
Yeah, but this was
watching
they took it to the parliament, right? They just did not want the
Yes, because
they took it to the parliament.
So that's the
Big guys.
downside, right?
Yeah.
Even though the parliament is banned, it's the taxpayers' money
Yeah,
that's
they'll
going to
use
use
it.
it.
Yeah, but like, I think you mentioned
They're going to
before-
borrow again to rebuild
Yeah,
it.
but I think you mentioned before the discussion that at some point in time it's like people don't really care. They have nothing to lose.
Yes, they have nothing to lose.
It's like, I have nothing to lose. I don't
They have no kids, no jobs, no family.
I've always said this. Yeah, and that is why the youth is like we shouldn't take them for granted because they don't have anything to
we'll
lose.
get to the
Nothing to
point
lose.
they got nothing
Yeah,
to
they have nothing to lose, especially
No house.
in that kind of country where you've gone to school, you've even forgotten what you've learned in school
Yes.
because you couldn't get a job in the past 5 years.
Yeah,
All right,
forget
You know,
it. Yeah.
so
Another
it is
time, and
200% justified.
All right, cool.
I think.
If you ask me, I would say justified because
Yeah.
one, it doesn't make sense. It wasn't like it was abrupt. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it was. But they were saying right.
They warning you. They warn you.
them
They
to at
warn
least
you. You know,
review it and
you
it's
have
been
your
like
kids at home. They
clergymen,
keep telling
right?
you, Dad, your decisions
Exactly.
are messing us up. And
Religious
you don't want to stop.
leaders and the other voice, the other guys said you did not listen. You passed
Especially
it
in our
anyway.
communities.
Exactly.
Right.
Especially
Yeah.
like the audacity, right? It's
Yeah.
like you angry, you mad, you don't want it. We still don't care. We do what we have to do. So I feel like it's justified. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So that's our take. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Regardless, we want to hear opinions in the comment section. Till the next episode.
Bye for
Yell us
now.
out.
Peace out.
Booyaka.